In this video, we are doing an overview of the 17-day G Adventures trip, Essential Vietnam and Cambodia. This video focuses on the second half of the trip, which can also be booked as a 9-day Cambodia experience. If you're watching about information for the 17-day trip, we are starting on day 10 in this video. If you want to start on day 1 of the 17-day trip, please watch our other video. However, this will be considered day 2 of the Cambodia experience and the real start of that Cambodian tour. So just be sure to keep that in mind as we are starting with day 10. Day 10, we went to the Mekong Delta. The Mekong Delta tour was included and it lasted from about 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it was an all-day thing. This was the only day that we didn't like what we did. Basically, the bus trip felt very long, and once we got to the Mekong Delta, it felt like we were just getting pushed to buy things basically the whole time. I get it that people on these islands want tourists to come and buy things from them, and it was pretty cool watching them make coconut candy. I would say that was probably one of the only things I really liked about this part, but it just felt like they were just being pushy. They're kind of just trying to push their product on us, which I understand, but also it was an all-day thing. It definitely wasn't my favorite. However, we did get to see some local farms, a beehive, and we had a local show, so it ended up being okay. We also had lunch at the only available location at the Mekong Delta, and it definitely wasn't my favorite food, but it was all right. And because lunches and dinners aren't included, we had to buy this lunch. For the rest of the evening, it was free time, so we just got to explore around Ho Chi Minh City. On this day, we also gave $25 each for the tipping kitty. And again, if you haven't watched our first video for the first part of this trip, a tipping kitty is basically when everyone in the group gives, for us, it was $25 per person to the G Adventures CEO, and they take care of tipping the bus drivers, the local tour guides, and anyone else that needs to be tipped. So it kind of takes the pressure off of us worrying about that, and he just worries about that for you. Day 11 was Ho Chi Minh City to Phnom Penh. We left Ho Chi Minh City at 7 a.m. with our bus picking us up at the hotel. One thing to note is that your bag size really doesn't matter that much, just because your transportation is included from every point. We packed very light because we didn't know what to expect, but we could have packed a little bit more comfortable. So if you want to pack a little bit bigger of a bag, totally fine. We took the larger bus from Ho Chi Minh City to the Cambodian border. At this point, you do have to walk across the border yourself, so you do have to worry about carrying your luggage with you. So we already had our Cambodian visas set up, and many others actually didn't, but it took about the same time for them to get their visas and go through that it did for us. So either way, you don't have to worry about getting your Cambodian visa ahead of time if you don't want to. The only thing you have to do is go in and fill out an arrival card and then go through the border. After we crossed into Cambodia, we switched to a minibus. This bus was pretty small, but somehow they were able to fit all of us in there along with our luggage. We stopped an hour into Cambodia for lunch, and the nice thing is our CEO pre-ordered our food in advance, so once we got to the restaurant, our food was ready. After lunch, we continued on to Phnom Penh and checked into our hotel. At this point, you can use Cambodian riel or American US dollars. Thankfully, we were able to get US dollars out of the ATM. The only thing that sucks in Cambodia when you're using US dollars is they give you change in Cambodian riel. However, if you ask them to get change in US dollars, sometimes they will, but sometimes they won't. So just expect that. Our hotel was a Pacific hotel in Phnom Penh. So one of the pros of this hotel was the breakfast, and it also felt very clean. However, one of the only cons we had in this room was that there was a weird sewage smell, and we didn't really know where it was coming from. And it would kind of just be there, and sometimes it wouldn't be there. So it's kind of weird. It was also a very loud hotel, and it just seemed like the walls were paper thin, so you could just hear everything around you. After check-in, we had a 1-hour included Cyclo tour. We went to Wat Phnom Penh, the Yay Pen statue, the statue of Priya Bot, the Victoria Gate, and we ended by the riverside. And there were a lot of rats there, so be forewarned. We also had a group dinner that, of course, wasn't included at the Banteay Srey restaurant. The owner of the restaurant was on a Gordon Ramsay show, so that was pretty cool. And this ended day 11. Day 12, we had an included tour to the killing field. We had an 8:30 a.m. departure to Chong Et, and afterwards we had a tour of the Till Slang Genocide Museum. Just to warn you, this was a very, very heavy day as expected, and it was pretty graphic, so just to be warned ahead of time. After this tour, we had free time for the rest of the day. Afterwards, we opted to go to the Royal Palace and the Silver Pagoda, which was about $10 each, but be sure you have long pants on, and if you're a girl or a guy wearing a tank top, be sure to cover the shoulders because they are very strict. I had a shawl, but it wasn't covered enough, I guess, and part of my back was showing or something, and I had to buy a t-shirt. It was only $3, so worst case, you can buy a t-shirt there if you want. There were a couple of optional activities for the evening. The first was a sunset boat on the Mekong, and that included unlimited drinks and beer for $15 each. The other was a Kun Khmer boxing match, which was $25 each. We didn't go to either of these because we just wanted to explore Phnom Penh on our own. And that was the end of day 12. Day 13, we were traveling from Phnom Penh to Siem Reap. We left Phnom Penh at 8:15 a.m. and unfortunately we had to share a bus with another group, another G Adventures group doing the same tour as us. It was unfortunate because the AC wasn't working and so it wasn't a very comfortable ride. It took about 7 hours to get to Siem Reap, which was one of the longest drives we've had thus far. We stopped at a local restaurant on the way, which had a dock over the water. The guide pre-ordered for us again, which made it a little bit easier, but unfortunately the food was not good. It was lukewarm, maybe even cold, and we were kind of sketched out. So just be warned. And after the long drive, we checked in to the Grand Bayon in Siem Reap. A really nice thing about all of these hotels is they had laundry services at the front desk. You could just drop your bag of laundry off and come get it the next day, and it was very cheap. It costs about $4 a kilogram. We noticed that across the street from the hotel, you could get it a little bit cheaper, but it was nice just to have them do it at the hotel. We had an optional activity that evening. It was the Aspara dinner show, and this included a huge buffet. They had a bunch of different types of food there. Basically, anything you could think of. They had barbecue, they had some American food, they had noodles, they had Chinese food, they had basically everything there. And it only costed $25 each, but drinks were not included. But it did include our transports from the hotel to the show and back. After the show, that concluded day 13. Day 14 was our Angkor Wat sunrise tour. The day started really early at 4:30 a.m. So we had a hotel takeaway breakfast this day, which honestly just avoid it because it is not good. It's usually just a boiled egg and a piece of bread that's not even toasted. Make sure you cover your knees and shoulders, not only because you're going to a temple, but also because there are a lot of mosquitoes there. These 2 days at Angkor Wat are really the only time we needed bug spray. I got bit probably 5 times. Make sure you bring bug spray and you wear long pants just to avoid getting bit. After getting picked up by our bus driver and our local guide, we went together to go get our Angkor Wat tickets. These tickets were included, but you had to go in person to get them because they had to take a picture of you. So from about 5 a.m. to 11 a.m., we explored Angkor Wat. Afterwards, we headed back to the hotel to relax and take a nap. There was an optional Phare Circus is what it's called later that evening, but none of us decided to go on it. We all opted out of it because we were exhausted from waking up so early. But if you want to go to the circus, it's about $3 each. That night, we opted again for a group dinner at a restaurant called Temple Design. Also, going to dinner, usually you don't have to go with a group if you don't want to. However, it just shows how close we were with our group. We wanted to go to dinner with them, and our CEO knew all the best places to go that were local. So we always opted to go to dinner with our group. And that's the end of day 14. Day 15 was another day exploring Angkor Wat complex. We went to a temple called Angkor Thom and Ta Phrom. We started a little later at 9 a.m. this day. Our bus driver and tour guide picked us up that day and we explored until around 1 p.m. There was also another optional activity this day, which was the Tonle Sap floating village. This was about $30 each. We didn't go, but our friends did, and they did not recommend it. They said it wasn't worth it. This evening, again, was our farewell dinner. We went to a restaurant called New Hope, which was an included dinner. This is another place where they have at-risk youth, learning how to cook, learning English, and having a place to stay. It was sad because this was our last night with our group. We reminisced, talked about the adventures we had. However, we did have a little bit more time with our group because we still had to get to Bangkok. And that's the end of day 15. Day 16 was the departure to Bangkok from Siem Reap. We left Siem Reap at about 7 a.m. and we had to cross the border into Thailand. This took quite a while standing in line. The drive was about 3 hours to the border and around an hour crossing the border. Once we crossed the border, we changed from a bus to 2 large vans. On the way, again, we stopped at a couple gas stations to get snacks, but it took us about another 5 hours to get to our hotel in Bangkok. Make sure to get rid of all of your Cambodian money before you get to Bangkok, because you won't be able to use it or get rid of it. We arrived at the Hotel Royal Bangkok, which was in Chinatown. However, this hotel did not have laundry, so if you're continuing your trip, just be advised that there's no laundry there. Our last activity with our group was drinks at the rooftop bar at the hotel. This is definitely one of the nicest hotels. However, the location is a bit crazy. It's very busy in Chinatown, but they do have a very good breakfast, and it is in a cool spot. At the end of day 16, it was technically the end of our tour. Day 17 is technically just a departure day, which is included in your tour day. Hopefully this video will give you an idea of what this tour is like. Please let us know if you have any questions. If you're also going on the Vietnam portion of the tour, be sure to check out our other video. And we have a bunch of shorts you can check out if you want to see what the activities on this trip was like. Please be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.